Hi, and welcome to this lecture on the map and filter functionality in Python. In this lecture, we are going to learn about what the map and filter functionality is, how to use them, and some common errors associated with these functions. So, okay, let's go ahead and open up our script editor. So in your viewport, press and hold the spacebar, select Panels, then go to Panel, and go up there, go down to Script Editor, fifth one up from the bottom, and then open up your script editor. You can clean out your top output window. Okay, and within history, let's make sure we have line numbers ticked on and show stack trace ticked on. Okay, so what is the map and filter functionality? So the map and filter functions in Python are built-in functions that allow you to process iterables like lists, tuples, dictionaries in a more concise and efficient way. They're much faster essentially than using a loop. So I'd always advise, if you are filtering, if you're looking through a list for something, use a filter. If you're trying to map or run some functionality on a list, like add a suffix, add a prefix, or change a series of numbers, then I'd use map. Okay, these will work much better and much more efficiently than using a list. Okay, so let's move on. How to use them. Okay, so the map function, applies to a function, the map function applies a function to each item in an iterable and returns an iterator containing the results. It takes two arguments, and the first is a function to apply, and the second is the iterable to apply the function to. So let's have a little look at an example. Okay, what should we go with? Let's go with numbers. Okay, we'll make ourselves a list. Okay, we're going to create a function, which I know we haven't looked at functions yet, but again, chicken and egg kind of situation. I'll give you a brief explanation here, but then in the next few lectures, we'll be going taking a deep dive into functions and how to use them. But okay, here we are defining our square function. And this is going to take x as a parameter, and it's going to return, x squared, so star 2. Okay, so now let's make our map filter. Okay, so we're going to say squared numbers. Okay, and we're going to say map, open parentheses, and we're going to add, the square functionality, with numbers. Okay, so let's have a quick look and then print the output from this as well. All right, so let's initiate our numbers. So initiate our function. So we're defining a function called square that takes an argument of x, returns x, squared. Squared numbers, and we're going to map, all of our numbers through this square function and see what we get back. Okay, let's print that and see what we get. Here we are. We've got our iterator, containing our results. So what we need to do is we need to make this into a list. And then if we press print again, we get 1, 4, 9, 16, and 25. We've squared, all of our numbers. Easy. Brilliant. All right, nice. So that is our example 1. So that is the map functionality. This list can obviously be anything you like. It could be strings, and then you can run some string functionality within here. This can be a dictionary, and then you have to, again, access the key value dictionaries and append them in a specific way. But let's have a little look at a string example, more of a Maya example, actually, I made earlier. So let's say we search our scene and we've got a list of geometries, We've got the eyes, the head, and the hair, But now what we want to do is, in our scene, we want to automatically, for the modeler, give them a function that just gives them a suffix, For best practices, all things that we are working with, all geometry should really have _geo at the end. Okay, so what we're going to do is create a function called add suffix. Again, it says what it does on the tin. Okay, so we're defining our function. We're passing it a string item. And we're saying, okay, well, if instance string that we've passed, our variable, is a string type, okay, and if this string does not end with geo, okay, if it's not already got the geo suffix, then string will equal string plus underscore geo, which can even be shortened to plus equals, okay, simple as that, okay. So let's run, let's enter our function by highlighting it, okay, and pressing Control and Enter. And then we are going to also go with, okay, geos with suffix is the name of our variable. We're returning our map function. We have got, okay, add suffix and geos that we are passing through to it. So let's see what happens, okay. Brilliant. Okay, we get eyes geo, head geo, and hair geo. Okay, if we put one of these items with geo at the end, you see, we are going to not go through to it because we have checked for it already having the suffix of geo. So we will just return the item, okay, as is. Okay, because outside of the parameter of our if statement, we are just returning string. So if this doesn't pass, we are literally just going to return the string as it was. Okay, there's our second example of using maps. So, okay, let's have a quick look at the filter function. So the filter function, on the other hand, it creates a new iterator from the elements of an iterable for which a provided function returns true. So it also takes two arguments, again, the first being a function to apply, and the second being the list or the iterable to apply the function to. So here's our first example. If we go with something similar to what we had before, we've got our numbers, okay. We've got going up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are going to check here, okay, if this is even, okay, we're going to use our modulus operator, and we're going to say, okay, x with 2 divided into it is going to leave us, okay, 0 if it's even, okay, because obviously if we did 3 into this and we put 2, we've got 2 takes away from 3, leaving us a 1, which does not then equal, whereas using the equality operator, is not then equal to 0. Okay, so this is going to find everything that is even. Again, a very obvious name for our function. Okay, so let's use the filter. So same thing. Okay, we're going to we're going to assign the output from this filter to even numbers. Okay, and we're going to run our numbers through the filter. So let's see what the output is. Even though, I'm sorry, I already put it in there in my notes. Okay. But you'll see what we got up here was 2 and 4. Okay, brilliant. But maybe we just want to actually move the list functionality up. Let's move that up so it's already run for us, and all we have to do then is, okay, print our numbers. Won't change any functionality, but see, we're creating a list straight away from our iterator here. Okay. Or sorry, from our iterable. Okay. So okay, brilliant. There's our first example of using the filter function. But let's use a filter function maybe with words. So again, this is just a way to filter through items. Okay, let's use a different one that I've just created. So we're going to start with the words. Okay, cat, dog, apple, pear, car, truck, and boot. Don't ask me where they got these names from. I was just trying to think of random things with different lengths. But okay, we're again going to define our function, which is check length, which is going to take the argument x, and we're going to return, okay, well, true or false is the length, okay, of x higher than 3. And okay, because we're filtering, if it's true, okay, then obviously we will get whatever the words are that are back that are higher than 3. Okay, and if false, we will not. So geos that are longer than 3. Okay, and you see here we've already put our list, okay, encapsulating our filter functionality. So we will get a list back for us to work with. Okay, and what are we going to get? There we go. We've got apple, pear, truck, and boots. Okay, brilliant. Easy. So remember that these filters can be as complex as you'd like. Okay, you might want to search for objects within a scene. I've written filters in the past when I had an exploding object, an engine, and I was checking the parameters of the object, and filtering for any object that was exploded to a random point in space to check that it wasn't intersecting any other items within that scene, so that when I then keyed them from their original point to their new origin for the explosion, that they obviously went to a clean point in space, because obviously using the random function, we could still get overlapping items. And then you can use the filter to overlap the area in space. Okay, you can use filters for obviously very extreme things and obviously very simple things. So they do have an incredible kind of scope of functionality you can go with for them. Okay, all right, let's move on. And thank you. So that's map and filter though. Basically, that's them in a nutshell. Okay, we'll use them a little bit in the future though, so we'll dive a bit more into them. But right now, let's have a look at some common errors that can occur. So forgetting to convert the result of map or filter back to a list, okay, using list. So as we've just done, we show that we are always going to get back essentially a generator or an iterator to work with, okay, with maps and filters, okay. And obviously this is good, okay, and it can be used for another loop or another function, but okay, if you need it to be human readable, then you need to convert it to being a list again. Another error which I've seen before is people trying to, again, as we've spoken about in the previous loop functionality sections, is trying to modify the original list inside the map function. Okay, just remember that the map, okay, returns a new list. Okay, so any modifications made to the original list will not be reflected in the result. Okay, using the filter with a function that doesn't return true or false. It's quite an easy one. With people that maybe, again, are new to it, you've got to be explicit and it's got to be true or false, okay? Otherwise, you'll get unexpected results, okay? Very simply fixed by updating a function to explicitly return the true or false, okay? So passing an iterable that is not actually a list or a tuple. Okay, yeah, I mean, remember, okay, map and filter, they do require an iterable item. Okay, and depending on what that item is, that will depend on how your functionality deals with it. We've just worked with lists, but again, you can work with dictionaries, tuples, okay, anything that's an iterator, okay? You could pass a range through to it, okay? Anything you need. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, okay? In this video, we have learned about map filters and what they are, okay? How to use them, some common errors. So again, thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you on our next video.